Welcome to the Wealth Break, where we're here to discuss the ins and outs of building wealth, breaking it, and getting it back. I'm going to mess up on camera. You know the word.
Demystifying.
How you say it?
Demystifying.
Demystifying investing. And we have an incredible guest today, Monique Idlett. She's not just an incredible person, but an incredible investor. And I can't wait to dive in. But before we bring her along, let's talk about investing. And let's not use no more the word I can't say. Demystifying.
Yeah.
Just like, I mean, obviously, if you guys don't know, we're founders, we're entrepreneurs, we've invested, we've raised money. But like, when you not are in it, it is actually really, really difficult. To be honest, raising that first dollar is still technically very difficult. And it was a stranger, someone I had never met, actually in person, but was able to believe in the product. And I can't tell you no rhyme or reason to that, but that's my story.
Most people didn't know what angel investing was until, 5-10 years ago. And just realizing that there's this huge world out there where people are taking chances, they're taking risks, they're assessing opportunities, they're doing deep dives into market opportunity. And that's just something that when you don't come from the background, it's just super difficult and daunting to, consider. So, for me, my first opportunity into this world, so I used to be a financial advisor, and that world was really more so looking at public markets, right? And looking at traditional stocks, bonds, et cetera. And that was also a new world for me at a time when I was coming straight out of college. And realizing that that was the real way that the majority of people were building this generational wealth, and that most people who look like me didn't come from that background, didn't understand markets, were largely afraid of it, right? It's like, don't trust the big banks.
So grab the first myth. So you're saying the first myth is that everybody is investing, just not people like us?
No, I mean, I think that other people from other ethnic backgrounds tend to invest at a higher rate or percentage than we do.
Got it.
I think that a lot of times when you think about like the Black experience, and we're Black, so let's talk about the Black experience. A lot of our family members who did have some type of retirement plan, it was largely due to them having a pension, right? They worked on an assembly line. They worked there for 35 years. And that was their exit opportunity. But they didn't invest in public markets because, again, it's so new. And if you don't have a lot of money, no one's going to ever show you how to do it. And that's the real problem, is that today people have more opportunities to kind of do it yourself. But historically, you had to have someone show you how to invest.
Here's the second myth, and we're going to go, that I'm hearing, though, is the second myth. I'm going to go out and put it out, is that I think people that look like myself, we actually invest a lot, but we're investing in the wrong things. We're investing in get rich fast versus, it seems like investment is about diligence, taking your time.
Yeah. And I think that, unfortunately, there's this perception that there is a path to getting rich quick, right? And today, I think some people believe that crypto is like their fastest way to get rich quick.
No get rich schemes, guys.
You're just going to put money in today, and it's going to, what is it, like to the moon? It's going to go to the moon, and all of a sudden you're going to be buying Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and living in Miami in a penthouse. No, it doesn't work like that. And, over the course of my life, I've seen in college, people were selling travel. What was it like? First it was like things like World Ventures, and then they were selling these trips. Remember the used to be here people? Like where are they at now? Like, I don't see no used to be here people.
Whoever the sound effects, can we get some shots fired? Because all the folks, the influencers that's riding around talking about getting rich quick and all of those things, and the pyramid, and you sell this and I sell that, and I do these things and trades and all of these different things. Where are you?
Yeah, like, it's, you should you should start a trucking business. You'll be a millionaire in 3 months. No, it doesn't work like that. No one tells you about when you can't find good drivers, and the driver that you do have is in Omaha, Nebraska, and they just decide that they don't want to drive no more. And they just get out the truck and they just leave it there, right? Like, these things happen, all the maintenance on these vehicles. Like, it's not as easy as it seems. And I think that's the main moral of the story. But yeah, we continue to see these schemes, right? And those who get in first, what's interesting is like all of the finance gurus
Yeah.
who don't make money by managing other people's money, they tend to make their money by selling courses and doing master classes.
Hey, can I tell the truth? If someone is good at finance, they should be making significantly more money doing finance than teaching you how to do it.
Exactly. The best Wall Streeter goes to an office in New York City or some office and they make money managing other people's money. They don't make money selling you internet classes. That's just not how they get rich, right? So if you're really, 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 really that good at managing money or investing, you would be investing for other people, not just telling them useless information. That sounds good.
Crazy. Now let's get to my favorite part of the show is when we code switch on a particular topic. Although I feel like we're code switching all the time, but we're gonna code switch because when I think about investing, the next thing I think about is assets. And there was an episode that we've done and we talked about home ownership and now it's like this concept of some of these cities, it seems like renting is actually more affordable or said differently, a better financial situation or decision than it is buying. I think we need to unpack that a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think,
Like in the real voice though.
yeah. Nah, I mean, I think the reality is this. Most people can't afford to own a home today.
Yep.
And they can't afford because they can't pay for the down payment. What I think one of the biggest learnings that I've had and I've seen is that you can't necessarily income your way into wealth, right? And I think that's really important as you think about the concept of investing. It doesn't matter if you make $500,000 a year. We live in California. By the time tax eats that up, there's no way to really become wealthy just with income. I think you have to do something with that capital, and you have to figure out how to really grow your overall balance sheet and your net worth while you're sleeping in other ways. But with that said, I think that with people not being able to afford the down payment to get into these homes, the real issue becomes for those who can, right? They saved, they got the home. A lot of times it's no longer cheaper with interest rates going up. It's not necessarily cheaper on a per month basis to be a homeowner versus a renter. There was a time when there was a significant delta in between the cost of the price to rent versus your mortgage. And we're not really seeing that anymore. And that's the real game changer. And then you start to layer on the fact that the most money that you would, and I know I mentioned this the last time, like the most you're going to spend on a home ownership or on a roof over your head with rent is your rent, right? It's the maximum that you're going to pay that month. But with home ownership, there's so many variable costs that that can get out of control really, really fast.
So on the last piece of code switch, and we got this incredible guest today. My only thing is every investment, every asset, you have to know when you're getting in. The thing about home ownership, yes, in some cities it might be better to rent, but there is someone who owns that home and it's so cheap. He's making so much money, or she, is that he can actually rent it to you for that price.
Yeah.
That means he bought it when it was low,
Right.
and that means he bought it at an interest rate where it made sense to rent it for you cheaper than what you could go ahead and buy it today. And that's kind of what I see right now when you look at California. It's a lot of people that owned homes when the interest rate was 2% and 3% 6-7 years ago. They can, today's environment is profitable for them. And I think I'm in the middle. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm in the middle of it. I did well in home ownership, but at the same time, I understand why it may be beneficial in the near term. But the rules are still the same. It's about when you buy the asset.
Yeah, and can you actually save, right? Like, can you afford? Is there a significant delta between renting and your mortgage? And if you're paying significantly more to rent, then it would be in your best interest to try to figure out how to get into home ownership. The challenge is that when your rent is so expensive, it's very difficult to save to get that down payment. But with that said, you think about home ownership. With a lot of the natural disasters that we're seeing, it's interesting to me to just kind of look at the insurance industry and see how many people are taking significant losses as homeowners because of natural disasters but people who are renting aren't, because in some of these areas, it's easier to get the home. It's easier to get the renter's insurance versus the homeowner's insurance. And there's people who are literally waiting months, years to get these claims for home ownership. And some of them are going to have really bad experiences, whereas, a renter is going to get their cash, they're going to go somewhere else. Then also, if you lose your home and you had that 2 or 3% interest rate, I don't necessarily know what happens after that, right? Because you're going to have to go get something else, clearly. And what does that interest rate look like? What does that mortgage payment look like? It's going to be drastically different at 7 or 8% than it was at 2. Are you going to be able to find something equivalent? I don't know.
We don't know. So we got to continue this with our incredible guests. I'm so excited to announce Monique Idlett is joining us today. Incredible visionary leader, CEO. I would call her disruptive, but most importantly, today she is the founder and managing partner of Rain Ventures, an incredible early stage venture fund that's 100% woman and dope led. That's probably the wrong context, but I'm excited because I think her perspective is going to be really good. So let's dive in. Before we dive in, we like to start every conversation with asking when you were broke.
Okay.
Right? And it means different things to different people, but
I don't think I've ever been broke, but that's just my perspective.
And maybe that's the answer we need.
Yeah.
And the reason why we ask it is because, a lot of our guests, they see us, they hear all the success stories.
Mm-hmm.
And they sometimes
You mean the reels, like the 20-second,
Yes.
60-second, everybody's doing fabulous concept as an entrepreneur?
Yes, everyone's fabulous. Everyone, yes.
Became a millionaire overnight.
And, one of our guests most recently, she said the year that she made the most money she ever made was the year that she was most broke because she just forgot to pay her taxes. And it just created an interesting situation for her, right?
It's interesting, though, because even growing up in the projects in New Jersey, we never looked at ourselves as broke. I think that's a mindset, but that is just always. Even in college, when I got like the best dress, all my clothes came from the thrift store.
Yeah.
All the mindsets, right? Like there's the aspirational, and then there's the revolving loop of you're not like, why am I not there? It's like, because it starts with before you even get there. So in my mind, never been broke. I've aspired to more. I've aspired to different things, but as a serial entrepreneur, there have been times where the flow of cash is different. And most people would define that as they think they're broke. I've never looked at life like that.
Yeah, most people when their wants exceed their ability, they consider themselves broke. But it is 100% a mindset, right? Because like a lot of people who have the financial part are still broken because they're not fulfilled in other ways.
Everyone wants what they think they can't have or what they don't have, right? Being successful, living in a community where like all the top successful financial families lived, their kids, all of our kids going to the same school. That is the most broken of people I've ever been around. And the things that traumatically were all going on in their life while they all were swiping their black cards and driving their Ferraris was more traumatic than anything I ever saw in income-based housing or being with a single mom. So it depends on what people are looking for and what they want out of life to decide if they are broke or not.
Right.
Yeah. It's always like finding balance because you can easily one day be like, I'm broke because, I would like a new thing and I can't get it yet, but that's just yet. And then you get it.
Is it that though?
I don't know. It's
because it's a mindset.
Because it also evolves over time, right?
Yep.
What made you feel broke at one point in your life is not what would make you feel broke today.
Yes.
Right? As you continue to evolve and you continue to see more, experience more, all of a sudden now you're mad because you can't buy a home in the Hamptons. I'm broke. But theoretically, what you have now, you aspired for at one point in your life, right?
But the fact that you eat, but see, here's the thing that people should all realize. And even if we think about even when we first met over 15 years ago, right? It's not about what it's right now, because that's actually what you're not building for. If you can't mentally tell yourself that you're getting something or you deserve something or you desire something, it doesn't matter how much cash you have or how much money you have. You're always going to be in a mindset that you don't deserve it.
Right.
Or you don't deserve, that you can never aspire to something because of circumstance. You can't visualize it. So I think we have to reprogram like what creation looks like, what visualization looks like, because that's actually where it is.
What was the first memory you have of aspiring something different?
As a little girl?
Like, when was the first time you were like, oh, I'm motivated?
As a little girl, when my sister and I are 2 years apart. I'm the oldest. And at like, we have pictures of me like at 7, 6, 7, 8 years old in my mom's dress suits with like rubber bands tying it. And I'd have a desk. And if my sister had to be my secretary every day for my company that I created, and then I would do all her chores inside. I didn't want to be outside anyways. I wanted to be inside building and being the boss lady of my own company. And so my mother saw that, and then she fed into that side of me. So as a little person, I think all little people show us who they are. We just don't pay attention to it because we title it children or kids, like as if they can't dream, or that's the closest to it, that imagination. That is where you are getting the most authentic version of that person.
Right. So, I think in all of our lives, I can't speak for you, but this is a question. There was a time where you had this thought, kind of piggybacking on that a little bit, where it's like, I'm inspired, but I have to be the one to do it. And like, I have to, maybe for my family, I have to go out and achieve some level of success to make sure that we're good. And when you have that experience, and then you achieve that level of success, and then you have children who maybe don't necessarily need to have that aha moment of like, I have to go figure this out for my family. How do you think about like the difference of how you parent, knowing that your kids might not need to have that moment of, I gotta go save my family?
That's a big question.
Travis gonna hit you with these hard questions.
That's like a lot of questions in one question. So let's like start with like the very first thing, right? And so I'm assuming that the question is, how as a parent am I measuring and tracking like how I need my children to feel so they can show up for themselves?
Yeah.
Well, I think it goes back to, I've never looked at them as my property. I've never looked at them as like my dreams need to be fulfilled through them, right? Like, so I've paid attention to who they are. My mother always taught us, like, I have 3 of you, and for each one of you, I'm learning a different parent. Like, there's no one style for this, right? All 3 of you are different. I was very strong-willed. I was very rebellious. Like, you're not going to put me in a box. My sister was very meek and mild and creative. And my brother was just the youngest boy, right? The only boy. And so all of us required a different type of parenting style. And so as a parent, you got to think, I was a mom in college. So that was a different Mon'nique, right? And that child needed something different, Demetrius.
And that's probably also what drove you to say, I got to go figure this out, because you had responsibility so young.
I think it advanced it, but I think that before I ever became a mother, I wanted to go figure it out. The world just was like, I can do anything I want to do. But in regard to like how I need to show up for them to show up for themselves, I'll tell you a story, and it's like the best way I can define it. When Demetrius was like 5, that's when Pokemon, I know they came back out, but like Pokemon had just like really come out and was like a big deal. And he went to an after school program, and there was like 6 kids who drove the bus from the school to the after school program. They were his friends, right? It's the same kids every single day. He comes home one day and he has this huge case of Pokemon cards. And I noticed that those aren't his, like he has a lot of them, but that's not his case. And he's like, yeah, I found them on the bus. My mom says, you better turn that back in. And I said, no. I was like, Demetrius, well, what do you want to do? And my mother, she didn't understand my perspective. But if we talk to each other as a community, even as a little person, all the way to us as adults, right? If we're keep telling people what to do, at what point do they have to show up for themselves? And so at that moment at 5, I taught him, you don't have to do anything. What do you want to do? It's 6 kids on the bus. It's one of those kids. What you gonna do? You can keep them if you want them. That's what I told him. Or you can give them back.
Yes, that's a freedom that he had at a young age.
Free will is what we all have.
Yeah,
we have to empower that.
I think sometimes we don't feel it though, and that's almost kind of what I was thinking about, like from a financial perspective. When kids come from a more affluent background, they have more choice, they have more opportunities,
they have more protection too.
Yeah, and they can take more risk. They can be more free with their thoughts and their creativity. They have more latitude to be themselves versus I gotta go save my family.
Right.
We're talking about like survival mode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or thriving.
But I didn't want to I knew that approach, right, that the older generations had, because I said so, that puts you into survival. You no longer are critically thinking. You're no longer able to say, what are the consequences of this behavior versus this behavior? So I told him, you have 2 choices. You can keep them. You're not in trouble with me. Or you can give them back. What would you want somebody to do? And he gave them back. But the point is if you have to keep telling everybody what to do, that creates resentment because you start taking people's choices away. So as a parent, yes, I had to go into survival mode, but responsibility for their own behaviors is what to me was the most important thing. I'm not coming to save you. You've been given an opportunity. I'm going to let you make your own choices. Just know that there's consequences to either side. Think it through.
Yeah. I know.
So
go ahead.
Let's get into your deviation from being in corporate America to being in music or entertainment to then diving into this world of investment.
And as you do that, just love to give us the summary version of that story. Because there's going to be many folks that are here who may not know, I think, how prolific that journey may have been.
My name Mon'nique means advisor, right? So it doesn't surprise me that I actually love a life of like constant evolution of myself and the challenge of what else can we get into that we're not supposed to get into, or the rooms that they say we don't belong in. I think for me, my journey has always been the audacity to know I deserve something, even if I wasn't qualified for it. I think that's really important because we put so much emphasis on you better know how to do something, when the reality is you won't know how to do something till you do it. And you say that you actually can do it, right? And so when I got recruited by USA Today, I was 22 years old. I got hired and recruited for a national junior executive position for marketing and sales. The day I started, they were interviewing for the national senior global exec. And I was like, I want that job. They're like, oh, you don't qualify. You need 25 years experience in marketing and advertising. I was like, actually, I do want that job. And maybe that's what you need, a new perspective. And you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So like, it's about when do we just start controlling our own narrative?
Yeah.
I didn't qualify for the job. Who cares?
Yeah. Just go for it. And
I went for it. And I got it.
Yeah. Sometimes like when you don't know like the protocol or how things work and you're kind of going into something blind, it gives you a little bit of like confidence of I just believe in myself and I can figure it out. And if you would have known a long protocol or process of what it takes to get there and you're looking at all the prereqs, most people wouldn't apply because they're just like, they psych themselves out and say that, I can't do it.
Well, think about the history of our culture just in general, right? Or any culture or person that feels less than or not enough of something. A lot of that is around the structure historically of organized religion, right? Where you have to go through a third party to have a relationship with God. That's actually not true. So the reality is that we have to reprogram the mindset that as an individual, everything you need is in here and you are actually with God, right? And so you don't need third-party people. You don't need education telling you what you can and can't do in life. And so it's also a part of our responsibility to kind of take that power back too.
Right.
And so I took that power back at USA Today. I started my first company at USA Today, which is how I even got into the entertainment industry. Started working with talent and bridging that gap of them creating like an actual media kit and brand aware, like who they were as a brand, not just as a name for a talent. Partnering them with all my corporate clients, right? And then that's how I got into the label side. And Tim wanted me to shut my agency down, so I shut that down. And then we started Mosley Music Group, where I operated as the CEO and kind of like the creative business-wise. And then he was the creative, But transitioning from talent in the entertainment industry to talent in the founding, the venture early stage world, to me was the exact same thing. Like the thesis at the label and publishing company was fewer writers, fewer artists, global platinum success. Jump in there, put that bumper system up, whatever they need, but make it like a real brand, not just like something trendy. I don't like trends. And so when I got into venture and met Erica, my master's program, it was like, it felt right. It just felt right. It was the easiest transition, to be honest, dealing with talent. The most difficult transition was the financial world deeming me, I wasn't validated or qualified to be in their industry. So I should start, like me and Erica should start like a charitable.
Right.
And that's when I was like, bet.
Right.
Word? Okay, watch this.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, what was your first investment? When did that start?
So that was over 14 years ago. Whenever we met, solo funds, I'm not solo funds. Although like a year after I met you, were talking about, you didn't have a name to solo funds, but you had the idea, you were talking about the idea. Listener, Bespoke, The Box, and I forget the Ozil, the on-demand massage.
Was it scary?
The first check you wrote?
No, it wasn't. The check that was the scariest that I wrote was into solo funds. Because I was in a whole new world now. I was divorced. I chose to kind of like, I wanted to rebuild from the ground up. So I didn't stay in the entertainment industry. And I think that when it was now more about, I'm in the music industry and entertainment industry, we're in a cash business.
Right.
It's very different, right? Now I'm really understanding, because my first checks that I wrote, 15, like literally, I didn't know early stage.
Yeah.
What do you mean 10 years you're going to get your money back maybe in 10 years? That was not that. We made money every day in the music industry, right? We made money to show up somewhere.
Shows,
we're making money before we even come to you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it was money working all the time. It became scary when that model for me wasn't there anymore. And now we're talking for real 7, 10, sometimes longer before you ever receive a return.
Right.
So those were the solo fund, my first and second check personally. I was like, okay, this is how I knew how much I believed in y'all. Right.
I love you for that.
Go ahead. Legal disclaimer. Monique is an investor of Solar Funds. And we work at Solar Funds. Head intern, head secretary, assistant.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Please
you don't have to play that part. But the point is that, the point is that it's always scary, right? Once you understand the game that you're actually playing, and once you really, I was naive. I was learning. And I was like, oh, yeah, let's do it. Erica's like, yeah, do a check here. I'm like, yes, let's do it. Yes, And then it became, wait a minute. This is bigger than just us being able to find talent and founding teams that are really going to do what they say. This is also dependent upon if people validate Rain Ventures as a real firm for follow-on capital, right? We can only get the seed stage through Series B companies to a certain place. And so I think as I started growing and fighting more for our voice to be here, Erica too, right? Like this was not an easy journey, starting a VC firm from the ground up with 2 Black women, where we own 100% of it. That is unheard of, and it was not easy. It's still not easy. We perform in the top 5% of venture. And it's still hard to raise money.
What's the toughest part about proving people wrong?
I'm going to be honest. I've spent so much of my life. I even dealt with this in therapy because I couldn't understand that, like, even when I would make it somewhere, why was I still always trying to prove that I belonged there so I would work the hardest? Or even in my own company, right? Like, even when I got married, why am I proving every day that I'm worthy of being I'm a wife, like, so I had to let go of that, but I didn't let go of that till my 40s. I'm not here to actually prove anything anymore. I'm here to prove that I can just be the best version of myself and show up in that way every day. But it took me a long time to get to that place because I actually didn't even understand that that's what was happening.
Totally. So when you think about like diligence, right? You're meeting a founder and you're assessing a company for the first time. Because you're an early stage investor, most times those founders don't have anything, right? They have an idea and they have passion and they're expressing that to you. What are the things that are most important to you as you assess or due diligence on a founder? What are the traits? What are the things that you look for in a founder that you believe are most important and also have some indicator of future success?
So I have two answers for that. Like, it's my very first answer is really the truest. We've had to add other things just because we're SEC regulated, right? But to be honest, you just know. And the more that I focus on my wellness spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, the more I'm tapped in to what this all is. And I'm just being honest. And so it's like that initial, when you walk into a room, what the vibe is, right?
Yeah.
We all have that ability to like understand the energetic side of all things. And so that energy is coming first, way before somebody ever says anything. And so that has always been my thing, even when I was little. So because it's not something that can be modeled in algorithms and spreadsheets, that's not something we like take to meetings, right?
Mhm.
But I do now. I don't care. It's just what that is. And in fact, Russ Carson, who's one of our lead investors, I asked him one day, like, how do you know? He said, Monique, you just know. And that's the thing. And it's okay to just know and not be right? Like, because there's other things that can happen.
Exactly.
And the more we've tapped into just spending time with people and not going down that checklist where everything's like automated, robotic question answer, the more you tap into people and just pay attention to who they are. So as you all know, we spend a lot of time with founders.
Yeah.
So before that check is ever going, it's a relationship that we build. This is the relationship people business at this stage.
We always say we show up better in person.
Yep.
Right? You could read our presentation, you can talk to the Zoom, but you're not gonna feel the level of consistency or the level of effort
Yep.
that someone is willing to take
Yeah.
or put out. And how sincere they are in their intention in
Mm-hmm.
doing that, right? And back to the point, it's like those things are still probably the most important things.
The most important things. And, I think for so long, we've all just been on speed and just go, 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 that people have forgotten just the very simplistic concepts of getting to know people, and taking your time, and no one having to think that they have to show up perfectly, but perfectly being themselves.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so when we're looking and doing diligence, yes, the traditional diligence, right?
Right.
But what I'm doing is something very different than what we're tracking in Carta, right? And in our diligence folders. What I'm doing is I want to know what is keeping you up at night. What are you afraid of? What happens when it doesn't go right? How do you cope with it? Do you shut down?
Yeah.
Do you get passive aggressive? Like, let's talk about these things, because we'll put a plan together to de-risk all of that, because we all have these traits in us, right? Things that don't feel so good when we don't know what to do.
So thinking about like crowdfunding as an example, I think we all agree you do just kind of feel when someone's got it. But when you don't have the ability to spend a bunch of time with the founding team, the leadership, and you're just assessing a company based off of maybe what you're reading,
Mhm.
what are the things that, and really I'll ask both of you, what are the things that are really important to you? Because I know you've looked at a lot of things on crowdfunding, even considered it at some points in our journey. We never did it, but what do you think's most important? Because you can't get that time with the founder. And a lot of these people making these investments are making investments for the first time.
I mean, I can't wait to be an investor one day to the extent that I would like to be. But I think even in the companies that I have been a part of, I'm gravitated to things that are solving real problems. And you, I can look at a company and I can tell the difference between that company was a hot topic, AI, and then that person may have had a little specialty at maybe building cars, and he decided to put it all together because right now AI is hot, and he can go out and do that, and that's a great segment. But to me, it would be I would be more gravitate to the founder where in his presentation it would come out that maybe his family member died in a car accident, and he's leveraging AI to make that car better so that it's less accidents. I need.
So the
you
authentic
need,
Yeah.
storytelling.
Yeah, I need.
you need
yeah.
a connection to the story of why they're doing it.
Yes.
That's real and organic versus, hey, it's easy for me to raise money right now because crypto is hot or AI is hot or
The trends, right? Yeah.
versus I'm doing this for this real reason.
Yeah. My bet is if it gets tough, that's the only thing that's going to keep you there.
Right. And it will get tough.
And it will get tough.
And
No
it's
matter how much money you raise,
absolutely
it's going to get tough.
if it's not getting tough, it's not growing.
Right.
It's just what that is. I do think that founders do, especially in the early stage, the pre-seed, the seed stage, they do get so many different types of answers from like, what is it that you're looking for as an investor? And what I try to simplify it for the founders, like, listen, you need to be able to tell the story, right? What problem is there? What is the solution? And why are you and your team the only ones who can solve this? And do you have a really valid customer base that is going to, not because you need it, but is everyone else going to need it too? And you need to be able to understand that. I think that, the earlier founders can practice their financial models of like, okay, best case scenario, worst case scenario, something in between, a bottom up venture model, right? You can't go to venture and ask for investment with we go from 0 to 100. It's like, but how? Right? Like, how did you go from 0 customers to 100 customers? What's the growth? And so that's the area that Erica focuses on. I really focus on like the market, the strategy, the vision. What team are you building? And how are you leveraging your board? Like, those are the things that I'm asking them to tell the story of, to see if they even understand that perspective. And I give, we do this now, but we give live like testing, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Like, we put them in a situation. How are you solving it? Because one of the things that I've recognized is that they don't know what is about to happen, but we do. Right? We know the top 5 to 10 areas that all founders struggle with regardless. And so we've started implementing some of those, just run through, I guess I would say, just to give them some warm up and practice too.
Do you invest in solo founders or do you always look for a co-founding team?
We have I wouldn't say a mandate, but we have a practice of at least 2 founders. The reason being is that one person can't know everything, nor should you try to pretend like you know everything. It's just, you're not going to be great at anything then. And so me and Erica we are completely opposite from a skill set perspective. So we do look for founders that can balance each other.
So I can't let you go without talking about the election, not who you voted for, but what do you think this election, what do you think happens over the next 4 years? Do you think that your job, it becomes more exciting? Do you think there's more opportunities that are going to be created from it? Do you think it's going to be more difficult to operate in the space? What's kind of your perspective?
I haven't met a piece of my life yet that hasn't had obstacles and complications. what I learned to do is kind of like put like how they do the horses, right? The blinders. It's like, I actually don't care what's happening. What I care about is how do we keep helping founders build effectively, efficiently in a way that is very impactful, because funding is always going to be an issue, especially when it gets to people of color and women, right? Like that's not going to change. Here's what I would be happy about is if everyone starts understanding that the real power is not in governance. We don't need governance, right? Like we are capable of actually, in our true power, being everything that we need to be. I would love for people to like stop thinking people have to make all their decisions because it's not working.
Right.
We're still talking about the same things. It's not working.
Right. We've got a part of the show. We go through some quick questions.
Oh, the rapid fire.
It's the rapid fire. It has nothing.
Tell me it's funny.
It is funny. I hope it's funny. It should be funny. We got a great team that put some funny questions together.
Okay.
So are you ready?
We'll see, maybe.
Travis, are you ready?
I think I'm ready.
All right. How long does a copyright last? 30 years, 100 years, author's life plus 70 years.
Ooh, is it 100 years? Or maybe it is the author's life plus 70.
Woo! Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
That's the right answer.
Yeah.
Well, I was maybe cheating because, I mean, you kind of know that.
Not necessarily.
All right.
I mean, it was really specific, right?
Yeah.
It was like 30, 100, or 70, or the life plus.
Yeah.
The life plus is what got me. That would have been my answer.
All right. Next one. During what quarter is it thought to be the most difficult to launch a new artist?
The most difficult to launch a new artist? Oh, definitely fourth quarter for sure.
That's when all the heavy hitters are coming.
Well, and everything shut down. Radio shut down. Like there's yeah.
According to the facts, fourth quarter is generally accepted to be the most difficult because radio stations shut down to play Christmas music. There's a lot of competition with other new releases for Christmas shopping, and it's hard to tour in winter.
That's all the iconic people like putting out stuff. Yeah.
Final question. Producers, true or false? Producers typically make 3 to 5% of an artist's income from record sales.
No. That's false. Producers own 50% of each song.
Follow up. The producer gets 3 to 5%, also known as points. We're going to have to validate this question. I don't believe it.
So when an artist and a producer walks into a studio, if something's created, automatically it's 50-50 right at that point. Now, the points will change based on who wrote, but automatically, even when you go to license a song, it doesn't matter what artist sang it. You have to get both publishing companies to approve it because it's equal ownership unless you start adding layers.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I hope this conversation was good and fun.
No, it was.
Just as much as it was for us.
I would love to ask you all something, though. Just one quick thing.
Yeah.
It's like, we're talking about like this wealth gap and breaking these things. And what has been the most important thing you've learned in disrupting the financial industry for your own personal financial experience? Like, I think that would be interesting for people to know.
I think for me, the one thing that I wish I would have known earlier is that that there is a political aspect that is going to be required for you to be successful in this space. I wish I would have known that earlier. Probably would have played that game a bit earlier and would have been a bit more deliberate earlier. But I think for me, there is no plan B for me. And I think that's what's most important is that all of my eggs are in this basket of making this successful, not really just solely for my own personal financial gain. It's because the impact that we've set out to have, that is the mission. That's why we care. That's why we'll take the abuse that we've taken on
And
so
you've
many
taken it a
different
lot.
levels, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what keeps you in the game. And I'm a servant for others, right? And if I do that at a really high level, then there will be some rewards that come from that. But the thing that has to happen first is that others are in a better situation than they were before they met me. And that's what's most important to me.
Yeah. I think the thing that I've learned that's scary, that I feel some type of way about it, is
You always in your feelings.
yeah, I'm always in my feelings. But it's the underlying power of the financial service industry and how it connects to the next version of real power, which is wealth. And pretty much all else doesn't matter. You know, I've learned that wealth classes are the only classes when you really start to break it down. It's either, yeah, there's some other things wrong and discrimination, and trust me, I understand it, but it's funny how wealth tends to even some things out really quickly because people respect it. It's more concrete. You can stand on it. You can walk around with it. I can give it to you. I can make your kids and your kids and your kids different because of it. I can affect whole communities around the world. I can change the way people think. The only things that have ever made an impact to people of less income was someone of high income deciding to do it. So that's been the most thing that I'm comfortable with it because I think me and Travis, for some reason, don't have the level of fear that I think most would have, which is why we approach things in a certain way. But if you were to accept the fear, it feels as scary as I'm making it sound. And that's the part that I learned.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I'm grateful.
Thank you. We really appreciate you for coming, sharing your insights, your experience, and your journey. I mean, it's been incredible to watch. I feel like as much as you've watched our journey, we're actually watching you on yours as well.
You have.
And that's really inspiring.
And you know what? You're right, because we've watched each other not give up.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the truth.
Gotta keep going.
Never stop.